Hello, everyone. Good morning. Nice to see all of you here today. I'm Hui Ting, speech therapist and director at Summers Therapy Services. Welcome to our fifth anniversary celebrations. And we have our day one of our webinar series today. It's our pleasure to be able to share our experiences and knowledge for these 4 days. And this webinar series is called Talk With Me. So hopefully by the end of 4 days, all of you will have some knowledge and strategies to talk with your child, not just to your child. Okay. Thank you again for joining. And before we proceed with our presentation, a special shout out to all my friends and our parents here in Singapore, and also to those who are in Myanmar. I see quite a few of you joining us today. So hello. And also to our parents and friends from Indonesia and Bangladesh. So welcome, welcome. And hope you all will enjoy the webinar.
Hello everyone, my name is Jane and I'm a speech language therapist. Welcome to the first day of Summers Therapy Services webinar series Talk With Me. We are all very excited to be able to conduct this 4-day webinar series in line with our 5th year celebrations this month. So thank you everyone for joining us. So one of the most common questions that we hear from parents is my child ready to talk? And as a therapist, sometimes I really wish that I could have a magic crystal ball or a superpower that can see into the future to know when exactly a child will start talking. But unfortunately, it does not work that way. And there's no fast answer to know when exactly a child will start talking. However, there is something that is very predictive to know whether a child is developmentally ready to talk, whether they are in the right trajectory for speech, and that is whether they have mastered the foundational skills for communication, which is known as preverbal skills. So today, we're going to talk about what is preverbal communication and how is it related to speech and language development? What are the building blocks for communication? So what preverbal skills do children have to learn before they start communicating using words? So now today we're going to look at some videos so that you can see what skills you're looking out for, how these skills look like, and hopefully this help you gauge whether these skills have emerged for your child. And lastly, I'll be sharing some suggestions and strategies to work on the different preverbal skills to promote communication. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to send your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we'll be spending some time at the end to discuss those questions together. All right. Let's get into it. So, what is preverbal communication? When we look at the word preverbal, pre just means before, and verbal means anything that is expressed in the form of words. So, what is happening before the child uses words? And when we look at the word communication, it simply means the transmission of a message between a sender and a receiver. So, putting the two words together, preverbal communication, it means that even before the child uses words, they are already starting to learn to communicate with others. They're starting to learn about communication. So, communication begins long before first words. And at the early stages, children have to learn these building blocks, this whole list of skills about communication before they start communicating using words. So these skills that they have to learn is called preverbal skills. So how does pre-verbal skills relate to speech and language development? Let's look at this pyramid, which shows how speech and language develop. So if you look at the pyramid, the skills at the bottom layers have to be in place before we build up the skills at the top. So when a child starts talking, when they start using words, is at the level when they are using language. So as you can see from the pyramid, even before a child starts talking, they have to learn a whole list of skills at the bottom layer first. They have to learn to listen and attend to you before they can play and interact with you. And through play and interaction, that's how children learn to understand and use language, understand and use words. And at the top of the pyramid, that's speech, which is how we say those words. So today our focus is on pre-verbal skills, which are the skill sets that comes within the two bottom layers of the pyramid. And our upcoming webinars will be a continuation to cover topics relating to the skills at the upper layers, which is language and speech. So do stay tuned and join in our webinar for tomorrow as well to learn more about language and the future one, which is speech. So what are the pre-verbal skills that is required for communication? So what are the building blocks that children have to learn before they start communicating using words? Today we're going to talk about 9 pre-verbal skills. These include visual tracking, auditory awareness, eye contact, joint attention, imitation, turn-taking, cause and effect, communicative intent, and play. So please take note that these skills are all interconnected. So the timing of when these skills emerge may also overlap with each other. And the first 2 skills that will come in first, which is the most basic building blocks for a child to attend to their environment, is visual tracking and auditory awareness. So let's look at those skills first. So visual tracking. Visual tracking is the ability to follow the direction of a moving object. So let's look at this video to see how the skill look like. So notice in this video, the child will be looking at a toy, and I want to let you see the movement of her eyes. Look at how she's looking at the toy, sustaining her gaze, and following the direction of that toy in front of her. When she does that, she follows that direction. She's showing that she's aware of her surroundings. She's aware of there's something in front of her, and she's attending to it by following the direction of it. So why is this skill important for children to learn before they start communicating using words? If we are not looking, we are not paying attention to what's going on around us, then we're not going to attend to people and things in our environment. And then we're going to miss out on all the language in our environment, because that's how we learn language, by attending and interacting with things and people in our environment. So you may start to see this skill emerging around 2 months. And if you notice that your child is not responding to anything that he sees in the environment at around 3 months, do consult a pediatrician to check. If your child is looking but not tracking, not following, here are some suggestions to help them to attend to what they see. So first, you can use objects that stand out from the environment. So like the first picture there, you have a toy with multicolored lights. It's attractive, it's obvious, it's something concrete, and it stands out from the environment. So you can catch your child's attention to look at it. And you can also use fun and interesting objects like bubbles. So bubbles is a very good one that we always use in sessions. It's not only fun, but bubbles with the bubble wand. Let's say you have bubbles here, and you want to present this in front of your child, face to face, in line with their field of vision so that they can attend to it. And then you can slowly move away. When they start attending, you can slowly move the bubble wand away. With the bubble wand, it's something concrete that they can see. And when you blow with the bubble, it's something more translucent. So see how you are moving from a concrete object to something that is not as concrete. And you can also do fun and interesting games like throwing the ball back and forth across the room. So with the ball, when the child is throwing the ball and catching the ball, when they're holding the ball, they can feel the ball. When they're throwing the ball, there's movement to it. So you're incorporating the other senses along with the visuals to help them to attend to the item in the environment. So eventually you want to move from items in your environment towards your child tracking your body, your hand movements, and your head movements. And why is this important? So as I'm talking to you now, I'm actually gesturing a lot, and we always gesture a lot when we're having a conversation. And I can say yes, I can say no, I can say come here, and you have to track the direction of my hand. I can say look, 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 and you have to track where I'm pointing, the direction of my point to the object that I want you to attend to. So these are very important. So children have to learn to track our hand and body movement and head movement as well. So some suggestions to work on that, you can use action songs. So any common nursery songs, there's a lot of actions to it. Wheels on a bus go round and round, wipers on a bus go swish, swish, swish. Or twinkle, twinkle, little star, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. So you have a lot of actions there, a lot of big movements. It's fun and interesting. Children are naturally interested in songs, so you can get them to track your hand, your head, your body movements. And apart from songs, you can do play as well. You can play with them. No toys involved. You can use yourself, play with them interactively. So things like tickles. So when you do tickles with them, you can also use it with rhymes. So like rhymes like round the garden as you tickle them. So I'm not sure whether all of you are familiar with it, but I'm just going to demonstrate it now. So with round the garden, you're holding the child's hand and you're putting your finger on their palm and you go round and round the garden. There's a teddy bear, and one step and two step and tickle, 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 tickle under there. So as you go through that motion, that movement, your child is not only looking at your fingers, they are feeling the touch, that pressure as you move your fingers from their palm to their arm, to their shoulders, to the other parts of their body. So you're helping them by incorporating other senses along with the visuals to help them track where your fingers are moving towards. So with visual tracking, these are all the things that you can do to help first bring things that stand out from the environment, present items close to them face to face at eye level, then only slowly move away. Use fun and interactive games and use other sensors along with the visuals to help them track. And eventually you want to move from items in your environment to them tracking your hand and body movements. All right, so that's visual tracking. Now we're going to move on to auditory awareness. So for auditory awareness is the ability to detect, localize, and attend to a sound. So we're going to look at this video, which shows how this skill look like. So you'll be seeing a mother and a child, and look at how the child is attending to the rattle sound in her environment. See how she's looking at mom?
What is that noise we hear?
When she heard the sound,
What is that?
she first have to be aware. Oh, there's a sound there. And she have to think, where is this sound coming from? Oh, it's at the back. So she has to attend to that sound by turning her head towards the sound source, which is the rattle. So children may be aware of sounds in their environment around 2 months. So little babies will be startled by sudden noise in their environment. So they might not turn their head just yet. It depends on the development of their neck muscles to turn their head. But you can see that they are responding to that sound. They are aware that there's sounds in their environment. And why is this skill important? Why do children have to learn this before they start talking? All our early language models are spoken. So if I'm not hearing anything, I'm not paying attention to the sounds in my environment, I'm not going to listen to the most important sounds I need to hear, which is my mom talking, dad talking, caregiver talking, all the language models from the environment. So they're going to miss out on all those and going to miss out on all the language models. So before I go into suggestions, one of the things that we want to rule out when parents comment that, oh, my child is not attending to any sounds in the environment, my child is not attending to me, not responding to me, when I'm calling out their name, they're not responding to me either. So one of the first things that we want to rule out is whether or not the child has any hearing difficulties. So if you realize that, if you notice that your child is not responding to any noise in the environment, physically get it checked out to consult an audiologist for a hearing check if you haven't done so. If your child is hearing but not paying attention to it, here are some suggestions to help them attend to the sounds in their environment. So what we can do to develop their skills further is to use things that stand out from the environment again. So bring out the musical instruments, tambourines, xylophones, egg shakers, they all make different noises. Find one that your child likes, get them to pay attention to it. And you can also help to guide your child to hold the instruments as well. So for example, this egg shaker here, there's a sound to it, but I can guide my child to also hold the egg shaker, shake it to make that sound. When you're guiding them to hold the egg shaker, there's touch there. They can feel it. And when you're shaking, there's movement. So you're incorporating other senses along with the hearing to get them to attend to that sound. And if you have you don't have any musical instruments at home, don't worry, you don't have to purchase anything. Simple things at home like pots and pans, or even your table. You can tap on the table to make sounds. There's so many sounds in our environment. The tap sound, the fan sound. Help them to explore the different sounds in their environment. So get your child to play with them, create different noises so that they are aware, oh, there's a lot of things in my environment that makes different sounds. And toys with music and lights also can help them to catch their attention, to attend to that sound. And if you don't have all these toys, it's fine. You can be the sound source. You can be the source of the noise and sounds, but make it stand out. Make it more exaggerated. So stand out from the environment by exaggerating your tone of voice. So if you're playing peekaboo with your child and you say, I'm going to find you, boo, they're not going to attend to you. But if you say, I'm going to find you now, boo, so you're using different pitch, different tone, different volume, make it stand out so your child will listen to you. So auditory awareness, just keep in mind, make different sounds, get your child to attend to different sounds in their environment. You can use musical instruments, items in your house, musical toys with lights, and if no toys, you can make your own sound or noise. So now we have finished talking about visual tracking and auditory awareness. So these two skills are the most basic skills for children to learn to attend to the environment, and it happened quite early on, around 2 months. And why do we need to learn this? Because children have to attend to the language in the environment to learn about the language so that they can start having words and they start to talk. Okay, language is in our environment. So now we are going to move on to the next foundational skill that I'm sure most of you have heard from many therapists, and that is eye contact. So eye contact is when I talk to you, you look at me. So let's look at the video. Pay attention to the child's eye contact in this video and what the teacher is doing to facilitate that eye contact. See how she's looking at the teacher now?
Very nice.
And she's looking away.
Look at me.
So look at how that one brief moment when she was looking at the teacher, when the teacher was guiding her hands towards the teacher's face and calling her, look at me, look at me. That was the moment of eye contact. So we have to remember, and I want to emphasize this, it's not a staring contest. I'm not asking the child to look at me for a long period of time. And even though it was a brief moment, it was a fleeting gaze, that was still eye contact, and I can work on from there on. So even if that's brief one, it's still eye contact. And we'll start looking out for this skill at around 3 months. And why is this skill important? So where we're looking at is where our focus and attention lies. So eye contact is the building block to know that when you're talking, your child knows that, okay, I need to pay attention to this person because whatever this person is saying is important. So if I'm saying something, I'm calling their name and then just doing their own thing, they're in their own world, it shows that they might not know the importance of me talking to them or calling them. And eye contact is also a social skill as well. With our eyes, we talk to. We indicate our interest in something and someone with our eyes. So if you feel like your child is not showing you much of his eye contact, here are some suggestions you can do to help build up more focused eye contact with your child. So activities like swinging, carrying them up and down, or peekaboo. When you do all these activities, remember to get your face near to your child. Be face to face with them. It's harder to build eye contact when you are far away from them. So try to keep yourself at least an arm's length distance so that you are not too far off your child's field of vision. Then use the physical activity. Use games, use activities that are fun and interactive that makes them want to attend and look at you. And when you're doing this, you can also exaggerate your facial expressions, make funny faces like the third picture there, to catch their attention, to engage with you. Then they know, oh, who is this fun person? I want to attend to this person. I want to look at this person. And eye contact is also one of the ways we build relationship as well. When I'm looking at you, I am making that connection. I'm establishing that relationship with you. And when I establish a relationship with a person, I start to want to communicate with that person. So some children have difficulties with eye contact, and again, want to emphasize is not a staring contest. But if you want to work on this skill with your child and your child requires extra help to look at you, you can use additional cues to help to get their attention. So things like waving your hands or wiggling your fingers or playing peekaboo. So your hands are something bigger. It's concrete, it's moving, so you can catch your child's attention. Or if your child is interested in a certain toy, like their favorite toy car, that green toy car that they're always playing, you can bring that toy car near to your face so that you can get their attention to look at your face area and your eyes. You can also physically lead their hands to your face, like how the teacher was doing just now in the video, and ask them to look at you as well for additional cues to help them to look at you. So for eye contact, keep close to your child's face. Use interactive games that are fun and interesting for your child to attend to you, and additional cues if needed to facilitate eye contact. So the first two skills are important for the child to attend to the environment. And then we start building a relationship with a human being, so not just the environment, by looking and attending to a person with eye contact. Another skill that requires the looking of the eyes and sharing a gaze is joint attention. So many people might confuse joint attention with eye contact. Take note that they are different skills. Eye contact is just a shared moment of eye gaze towards each other. So I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. But joint attention, not only we are looking at each other, we are sharing the attention and focus on something together. So let's look at this video to see how joint attention looks like. So you'll be looking at the mom and the child. Want to pay attention to the child.
And the doggy is saying hi to the bear. That's it? No more? No more? Okay.
So let's see slow motion. I'm just going to talk through this with you. Look at how the child is pointing to the book. And then mom is pointing and she shifts her attention towards mom and look back at the book. And mom was commenting on that book as well. So they are sharing the same focus, which is the book. They're sharing that experience together. So again, it's a very short, brief moment there. But notice how it's different from the previous video. The previous video, the teacher was only trying to get the child to look at her. Whereas this child in this video is not only looking at mom or looking at the book, but they're sharing the same focus, which is the book with mom together. So she's shifting her gaze from the book to mom back at the book. So I'm just going to talk through a little bit more about joint attention. So joint attention is when you have a triangle of attention where you have the child on one point, the object the child is looking at on one point, and the third person, which is us, the adults, who is going to teach the child about the object. So joint attention happens when you and your child are attending to the same object. And your child is also aware and knowing that you're there, looking at the same thing, and then you can model the language for your child, to model the language for the object that both of you are looking at, for your child to learn about it. So let's say if you are looking at the item, which is the ball, and you're talking about it, you go, ball, that's a ball. You're modeling that language. But if your child is not attending to the ball or you, then he will be just in his world doing his own thing. Let's say if your child is attending to the ball, he's playing with the ball, but he's not attending to you, then he's not going to listen and attend to any language from you. He's just going to be happily playing with the ball. let's say you are looking at the ball and you say, "Oh, there's a ball." And actually your child is attending to you. He's looking at you. He's listening to you saying, "Ball, there's a ball." But he's not looking at the object. He's just looking at you there. You have good eye contact there. You have interaction there. But when he's listening, "Ball, there's a ball," he's not actually linking that word "ball" to that object "ball" because he's not attending to the ball. So he can't learn that word as well. So with joint attention, the relationship is set up. I can look at the thing that this person is trying to teach me. I'm also attending to the person that is going to teach me about this thing. So it's where the magic happens. When your child is combining both what you're saying and looking at the thing that you're talking to them about to learn about it. That's where the link happens, that magic moment, that moment of brilliance where they go, "Oh, that's the ball that you're talking about," the word "ball" to the object "ball." And you can start looking out for this skill at around 9 months. So if you notice that your child has difficulties in this area, or you would like to further help them to develop this skill, one critical strategy is to follow your child's interest. How do you do this? How to follow your child's interest? So you can just observe what they are paying attention to, what interests them. So if your child really likes this colorful ball and they keep playing with it, then bring yourself there. Physically move towards the ball, close to the ball, where your child is looking at, so that your child can attend to you as well instead of only the ball. So it's shown in the video as well just now. So mom was not standing across at the other end of the room. She was sitting right in front of the child, looking at what her child is interested in, pointing to it, commenting on it. She's putting herself into the book that her child is interested at and guiding her child to shift attention from the book to her. So that's how we can start to build joint attention. So move close to what your child is interested in, get them to attend to you and the item, then you can model that language. So when you get that, then you can slowly, gradually move away to spread into that triangle that we're talking about. So there's no new activities here. You can use the same activities as from previous skills. Now you just want them to pay attention not only towards the object, not only towards you, but you're combining both the object and you together for them to learn about it. So the strategy, follow what your child is interested in and physically move towards what they are attending to. So far we have talked about children having to attend to the environment and then attend to people and combining both the item in the environment and the person to learn language. Another key pre-verbal skills that children have to learn before they start communicating using words is imitation. So imitation is just to copy what others do and say in our environment. So that's how all of us learn, right? We copy what what we see and hear, including language and speech. So if I'm not copying what you do or say, then I'm not going to copy your language. So let's look at this video. Pay attention to what the children are copying in this video. So they are not copying words, but see what they are copying here. So this child is copying the dad's action to lie down on the bed. This child is copying that sound that the dad makes. This child is even copying sounds that are vegetative sounds like coughing. So it's not only words. but actions, sounds, and around 6 months, children start to have this skill of copying adults. And at the very early stages, before they start copying words, children start to imitate bigger movements first, like whole body movements, like jumping or swaying. Then they slowly move towards the extremities, and they could do like waving, give me 5, and then pointing. And then they will imitate facial and mouth movements, like opening your mouth, blowing a kiss, or wiggling your tongue. And then eventually sounds, and finally words. So you can see from whole body movements to the extremities, pointing, their facial movements, mouth movements, sounds, and words. So that's a whole journey there of copying different things. So some suggestions to work on this skill include copycat games. So you can let your child copy actions or sounds, so like clap your hands, put your hand on your head, or different sounds that you want to make. If you want your child to work on movements of the face and the mouth movements, you can use mirrors. So when you're brushing your teeth, like you can just play with them through having to look at the reflection in the mirror. They can copy your movements even more because they can see both you and them together through the reflection. And if you notice your child is not imitating sounds yet, not imitating facial or mouth movements yet, you can start with bigger movements, with big actions first. So some suggestions include singing action songs. So we talk about the different songs just now, like Wheels on the Bus, London Bridge, If You're Happy and You Know It. So there's different songs that have different actions that children can imitate. And also songs, they have this repetitive pattern to it. If you notice all the nursery songs, Wheels on a Bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Or London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. See how many times they have the opportunity to copy that movement, and they have that repetitive pattern to it. So this is something that you can use through songs to get them to imitate. And other suggestions also is to imitate through play. So as you can see in the picture down there, when the child is holding the ball and trying to roll the ball, you can get another ball and imitate them as well. So the more you imitate your child, your child will imitate you back. So when your child is rolling the ball, you can roll it to imitate her, get her to attend to you, and then you can expand from there. You can roll the ball and make different sounds, go wee, or 1, 2, 3, go. So you can do different sounds, different words that you can use. And book reading is a good one as well. You can action out words or make your child copy different sounds like animal sounds or vehicle sounds when you're reading a book together with them. So many activities. Even in daily routines, you can get them to imitate you to tap the table or stack up the cups. So stack up the cups when you finish drinking. So many things that you can do. So the strategy here is to imitate your child for them to imitate you. The more you imitate them, they will think, oh, this person is doing something of my interest, so I'm going to attend to the person, and then eventually they start to imitate you. So imitation is an important skill as children learn language and speech through imitating our models. Another skill that is important for communication is turn-taking. So turn-taking is not about sharing toys, like taking turns to play with toys, but turn-taking is having that back and forth interaction. So let's look at this video to see how turn-taking looks like. So pay attention to how the child is taking her turn and how mom is facilitating that turn-taking here. right? So mom is trying to have like a conversation with the baby.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Look at how mom is waiting for her child to take her turn.
Are you feeling better? Oh. Are you feeling better? You feel pretty good? Huh?
And
You feel pretty good?
she's interpreting what her child, how her child take her turn is by moving, by smiling, by making sounds, and mom is responding to that by interpreting that message into words, and she's doing a beautiful job at waiting for her child as well to take her turn. So a turn is not only through this video, like using sounds, but a turn can also be seen in play. So you may start seeing this skill emerging around 6 months. And why is this skill important? There are always two people when we are having a conversation. One person sends the message, another person receives the message. And the person that received the message will be the sender again. So the role of the sender and the receiver will keep on switching. And children learn this back and forth exchange non-verbally without words first. So even through play, they start to understand that concept of that back and forth kind of exchange. So when they start having words, they know, like in a conversation, someone have a go, then another person have to wait. Then I go, you wait. You go, I wait. So if you notice that your child has difficulties in this area, or you would like to further facilitate turn-taking skills, you can use any activities that have a back and forth rhythm, as long as your child can take a turn. So it can be physical activity where you're rocking them. You can go roll, roll, roll your boat, and you're actually having that back and forth kind of rhythm to it. You can roll the ball back and forth. You can tap on the drum and get them to tap on the drum. So you're turn taking to tap on the drum together. Or you can even, if there's no drum, you can tap on the table and then get them to tap on the table. Or even tapping their hands and then tap your hands back. Or you can use toys like taking turns stacking the blocks up, or putting shapes into the shape sorter, or putting puzzles in. So taking turns putting the puzzles in together. So if your child needs more help to take his turn, for example, if your child is, for example, stacking cups, trying to stack the cup, and you want to facilitate that turn taking, you can verbally cue your child by saying, it's your turn, and then get them to stack the cup. Or if they need more help, you can gesturally point to the object and go, it's your turn, or hand them, visually show them, it's your turn, and get them to take their turn. Or if they need even more support, you can actually guide them by holding their hand. You can guide them to take that cup and stack it on. So there's different cues that you can use with your child to facilitate that turn taking. And if your child can't wait too long for his turn, start with short turns first. Even if it's 1 second, it's still a turn. Then slowly build it up, still build the duration up. So for turn taking, use back and activities that have a back and forth rhythm, and use additional cues to help your child to facilitate that turn taking, and slowly build that short little turn taking time to slowly build that duration up. Okay, so that's turn taking. So we have visual tracking and auditory awareness to attend to the environment, eye contact to the person, combining the item and the person in joint attention. Then we start imitating, so copying what other people are doing. So you giggle, then I giggle. then you giggle again. So then I'm going to take my turn to giggle again, and see how it's also a back and forth exchange. When we're imitating each other to giggle, we're actually doing turn taking as well. So see how we are incorporating these pre-verbal skills together, bringing the different skills to build into one single activity and interaction. So another skill or concept that a child needs to understand before they start to communicate using words is understanding cause and effect. So cause and effect is knowing that one thing leads to another. So there is an outcome to an action. So children learn this concept as early as 3 months. So baby cry when they're hungry or they're uncomfortable, and they are attended to by their mom. So in the picture there, the baby press the button and something pops up, or when he put the ball on the run and the ball will roll down. So children get excited knowing that when they do something, something in their environment will happen. Every action, there's a reaction. Things just don't happen randomly. I have to do or say something for something to happen in the environment. They have to know that concept before they start to talk, start to communicate using words, knowing that I have to say that certain thing to get that thing. So let's say if I want my milk bottle, it just won't randomly pop up in front of me. I have to cry or look at mom or reach out to that bottle in order to send that message that I want to have my milk bottle. So children have to learn this concept first. And to develop the understanding of this concept, you can make the cause and the effect more obvious and make it stand out. So for example, like the picture with the ball run. So when the child is putting the ball on the run, see how many loops there are on that run. There's so many loops so that the child can observe a longer duration of effect. So the effect is more obvious. So if you're not using toys, you can also use yourself. Like for example, when your child does something, make a big reaction so that they know that the effect is very obvious. So exaggerate your expression. If they put your hand on you, you can pretend that you're shocked or pretend to fall. So you can make it into an interactive game for them as well. Then slowly guide your child to also focus on the cause. So get them to become the cause. So with the child that is pressing the button, you can guide your child to press the button and verbally tell them what they are doing so that they know the cause as well. So you can go press or push and pop. So they know that there's a cause and that's the effect. So make the cause and the effect more obvious. And with this understanding, children gradually learn that their behavior can make an impact on their environment. I have to do something or say something to get something. I have to say milk to get my milk bottle. So with the concept of cause and effect, initially children do something unintentionally. So little babies, they cry, they smile, they make sounds, they move their body, but that's all not intentional. They are not actually having a direct purpose. They are not intentionally sending across a message. But when they do that, adults in their environment start to respond to their actions, their sounds. We are putting meaning into what they're doing. And that's when they start to learn that, oh, what I'm doing here can make an effect or impact in my environment. And it will make an effect to the people and things around me. That's when they start to do things more intentionally and send their message across with a direct purpose. And that's the next skill that we're going to talk about, when children start to do things more intentionally to get something. So that's communicative intent. So communicative intent is the desire to communicate a message. So children have to need to have that inner drive to communicate with others around them. So even before children start having words, they're already trying to communicate their message across. And how do they do this? So look at the picture there. The child is pointing to something. We can't really see what she's pointing towards. We don't know whether there's something there. But we can tell from his facial expression, his body language, he's pointing, looking there, he's looking expectantly. So with that, you know that even the child is not using words yet, yeah, he's already starting to communicate a message across. And this skill comes very early on. And one strategy to develop the drive and intent for your child to communicate with you is by not doing everything for them. Parents out there, I know that you love your children, and I'm also guilty of this. Sometimes I try to help my kids too fast. I jump in too fast to help them. And when I'm doing everything for them, we are taking away that opportunity for them to communicate with us. If we are doing everything for them, we are jumping in and helping them too soon, there's no need for them to communicate with us. For example, if the child wants their milk, and they're not crying yet, they're not reaching out yet, they're not saying anything, making any sounds, but I'm already giving them their milk, then there's no need for them to communicate that they want that milk. They don't need to communicate to request that. And if they have difficulties operating a certain toy, or opening their bag, or opening their milk bottle cap, and they're struggling there, but if I'm jumping in too soon to help them, then they don't have to request for help. So like, for example, another example would be a child moving towards the door and they want to go out. So they're just like trying to open and banging the door. But if we don't wait long enough and we straight away open the door for them, there's no need for them to communicate with us to help to open that door. So today I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on this area because my colleague Yvonne will be talking more about the tips to create opportunities for your child to communicate with you and build language from there in the webinar that she's going to present tomorrow. So do join in and to learn more about the tips to create those opportunities for your child. So last but not least, the most important skills, my personal favorite, and is an avenue that is used to build all other preverbal skills. That is play. So I could not emphasize this further. Play is so important in a child's life. Your child's job is to play. Children learn almost everything through playing, and it's often the motivation for them to learn. It's how they explore and learn to interact with their world and learn the impact of their behavior on the world. So any parents out there that has been to a speech therapy session, you know that we often play in session. Yes, it's fun, it's interesting, but we're not only playing. There's so many skills that we can see and build on within play. Not only can we build on all the pre-verbal skills that we mentioned before, but we can also foster language development, social skills, cognitive skills, and motor skills. So there's so many skills that are involved in play. And there are different stages in play. We're just going to briefly go through them today. So before 9 months, the child has to make sense of their environment. So they explore the different senses in their environment. What they see, what they hear, what they feel, what they smell, the movement in their surrounding. They're trying to make sense of the world. And at 1 to 2 years, they start to interact with the objects in their environment. So that's when they start to enjoy cause and effect play, like the first picture there, knowing that when I press the button, something will pop up or something will make sounds or light up. And at around 2 to 3 years, children learn how to play with toys more functionally. So they learn that blocks can be stacked up and pushed down, cars can move, and spoon is for eating. And that's when they start to associate a symbolic meaning to the object. And as their skill develop, children learn to substitute an object with another object. For example, I can hold a pen, my ear, and pretend it's a telephone. So I'm substituting that. And that's called pretend play or symbolic play. And that's when children learn to associate that words have abstract meanings, like how toys are abstract in play. That's why I can substitute one object to another object. And research has also shown that the development of play is correlated with language development. So when children start to do symbolic play, like pretending that an object, the pen, and substituting to another object, for example, the telephone, that's often when children start to learn their first words. So it's also correlated to language development. And at 4 years and above, children learn to play with games with abstract rules. So like tag or rock, paper, scissors or board games. So there are so many different types of play and different stages. So where do we start? So the most basic ones that we can start first is through people play. So people play is just you and your child playing together and interacting with each other. So without any toys, you can do people play to build that interaction, for example, through peekaboo or tickles or bouncing, jumping, or a horseback ride. So there's so many different types of play, that the activities that you can do to interact with your child and have that connection and establish that relationship with them. And then slowly you can move on to more functional play, like building the towers with blocks, completing the puzzles. Next, you can model simple pretend play. So for example, like talking on a toy phone. So the most important strategy to help your child build play skills is to play with your child. So get down to the floor, join them in play. Your child needs to know that you're with them and you're sharing that joy and experience with them. And when you join in their play, get them to be in charge. When children are in charge, they learn even more. So when they are in charge, you follow their lead. Follow what they're interested in and go from there. For example, if your child really likes exploring the environment by tapping on different objects, tapping on the wall, tapping on the cupboard, tapping on the table, you can start following his lead by imitating him. You can tap on the different objects, then you can slowly model to make that skill more functional. You can take out the toy drum and tap on the drum to make it more functional. And you can also model play skills for your child. For example, if your child is already doing pretend play, for example, like cutting the banana, you can model to extend that play by getting more items to cut, like apples or strawberries, or different fruit items, different food to cut. And then you can also expand the sequence. So after cutting, I'm going to put it on a plate, I'm going to eat it, I'm going to feed my bear. So there's eventually you slowly build that, and eventually you can even have a tea party. So a longer sequence of play. So for play skills, be with your child, follow their lead, and model. And most importantly, just keep it fun and rewarding. Just have fun. Play is fun. And when your child is playing, they aren't expected to do X, Y, Z before they're allowed to play. They just play. So play has no prerequisites. When there are expectations and there are prerequisites, it's not fun anymore. When you bring in the fun, your child gradually learns that it's not about the toy that they are playing, it's you. You're the toy, you're the fun. And that's when they start to engage with you, interact with you, go towards you, and only then we can share with them more things to learn. So, takeaway points for today. Communication starts before words, and going back to the question, is my child ready to talk? Children have to first learn about communication. They have to learn the different pre-verbal skills, the different building blocks for communication before they are ready to talk. And these skills are all interconnected, and therefore we can work on multiple skills in one interaction or activity. And to work towards getting your child to talk, we first have to establish these building blocks, these pre-verbal skills to foster communication. And when your child have these skills and start to have that intent to communicate with you, then we can start to build language for them to understand and use words. And this will be a topic that my colleague Yvonne will be sharing tomorrow, which is the 3 tips to build your child's language development. So do join us tomorrow as well to learn more about that. So this is the end of our webinar. We'll be spending some time to answer some questions. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for joining us all the way to the end. I hope you found that informative. Just a note here, so sorry, we'll be overrunning for a little bit. But we still want to answer the questions that you have sent in. So maybe we'll just pick 2 questions. If you could just stay on with us and we'll answer them quickly. And then do stay on for a special announcement at the end. So let me invite Jane and Hui Ting to answer our questions. So Jane, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Jane. So we do have our first question is, which pre-verbal skills should I start working on for my child? Would you like to answer that for our participants?
Thanks for the question. Firstly, I think it's very important that you get it assessed first, see what your child is already doing and what he or she needs more support with, and then we can work on from there. So do discuss with your therapist, and your therapist will find the goals and the approaches that best suit your child. Another thing I want to point out is how we have mentioned that all the pre-verbal skills are interconnected. So we can work on all these skills together. So for example, let's say an example of the child banging on different things. So when you're doing that, for example, you're banging on the drum, you're actually attending to that sound. So there's auditory awareness there. You can bang in different directions and see whether they track that movement, visual tracking there. When you're banging, you have that eye contact with them, that joint attention where you're sharing that same focus on the things that you're banging on together. Then you get them to imitate you, and then you can, through that imitation process where they copy, they banging, when they're, for example, if they're just not using a stick to bang, or they're just using their hand to tap, 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 then you imitate them, tap, 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 and then you do that imitation where he or she tap, and then you tap, he or she tap, then you tap. So it's like that turn taking there. And then when you have that joint attention, remember we talked about that triangle, where we're building language, we can do tap, 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 or bang, bang, bang. You're actually building language through those. So you can see all those, and they actually learn also cause and effect. I bang, that something happened. And then I bang, maybe you bang. And then you have that communicative intent. We're actually building all that 9 pre-verbal skills together in one interaction. You know, it can be a 5-minute, 10-minute thing, but you're actually building all those things together. So I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you. That definitely does answer the question. We do build all of them together in one, not just one by one on its own. So just very quickly to the next question. This participant says, my child is very hyper and likes to jump around and cannot sit still to learn. How can I work on these skills?
Again, thank you. That's a very good question. And I like how you actually know what your child is interested in. This shows that you already achieved that first step of knowing your child better, knowing that he likes movement, he likes to jump, okay, he likes to move around. That's good. And as we have talked about in this webinar, there's some activities that you can do with your child. So some of the suggestions we can do, for example, if your child likes to rock, you can go do the roll your boat where you're rocking your child back and forth. You can do like swinging activities. You can jump. If he likes to jump, then you jump or pop up and down. Or you can do like, if he likes spinning, you can do like, for example, spinning in a chair, or you can do ring around the rosy. So there's so many activities that you can do. And again, with those activities, you can work on all the pre-verbal skills that we mentioned before. For example, like the swing. So when you're swinging him up and down, you want to be in front of him at eye level so that you can get that eye contact going on there, and you have that repeated movement. He knows that the swing go up and down, you build that joint attention, and you can extend that eye contact. For example, if you are working on eye contact, when the swing goes up at the highest point, you can hold longer, get him to sustain a longer duration of eye contact before you let it down. And also, for example, if you're holding it up, the natural reaction for some of the kids will be like kicking their leg, or like holding that rope. Oh, I want to go down, I want to feel that movement. And that's when the point where you can build that, okay, there's cause and effect. I want to build that communicative intent. So whenever you kick, I'm going to build language by saying, for example, push or down, and then you go up again, then you kick again, then you go down. So you're actually building that language when you're doing these activities. So it's good that you know about your child, what your child is interested in, and that's how you start to build those pre-verbal skills and work towards them, communicating using words.
Thank you. So I love how you mentioned that we use their interest in the skill building and incorporate that into what we are trying to do as well. That's really, really helpful for us to know. So there are a few more questions, and we're so sorry, but we are really running over time here. So do email us and we will follow up with you definitely. Meanwhile, do let me pass the time over to Hui Ting for a special announcement. Hui Ting, please.
Okay, everyone. I hope you all had a very good time learning. I've got quite a few good feedbacks in the chat that they are learning a lot, and the presentation was clear. So I hope you all will join us for the next 3 days. And before we go, I'd like to share with you that we're having a free access to our summaries app. So it looks like this, and it is actually a collection of summaries of journal articles that we have written, our own speech therapists have written. Because from my experience, there's a lot of parents who get drowned by the amount of information that they see on the internet. So some parents, when their child gets first diagnosed with autism, they just Google autism, and then it comes up with a million of things, and they come to me and say, oh, should I try this approach, that approach? And some of them are not evidence-based. You know, it's really heartbreaking to see how these kids waste their so-called time or windows of opportunity for learning by going through a lot of different treatment or therapy approaches that's not evidence-based. So we have come out with this app that is based on latest research, and also through our experiences that we are putting all this information here. We have up to date 50 articles, right? And it's free for this week as part of our celebration. So there's this orange tab up here. You can just tap and all these articles will be accessible. All right. And this app is also for professionals. I myself has come from a background of working in a special schools, early intervention center, and I know the caseload is really high. So we are always so busy trying to do therapy for the kids. Then I come to a point where I realized how evidence-based is my approach. I might keep updated with my training, my knowledge, or am I backdated to like 10, 15 years ago when I was doing my speech therapy training? Yeah, so this is out for the professionals as well. So do take a look. It's free for this week. So enjoy. And I hope to see all of you tomorrow and also for the next 2 days after. Okay, see you then. Bye.